Hey, what's up guys, I'm Praetorian and welcome to Stellaris. So in today's video we're going to be doing a patch overview of the 2.3 Wolfe patch and the Ancient Relics Story Pack. So what we're going to be doing in this video is just kind of going over the many changes and new additions of that new story pack and the new free patch. We'll kind of be going over the patch notes as well as stuff that was covered in the developer diary. Try not to cover all the really minor stuff, but some of the more major things. We're going to do this. I wanted to do this for two reasons. First of all, I think I used to do these back in the day, and a lot of people did find them pretty helpful for those of you who don't follow the developer diaries. So you don't really know what's in the new patch. So you're just jumping into it, and you're kind of a little bit lost at what's changed and what's new. And then the other reason is that some of you guys are thinking about purchasing the Ancient Relics Story Pack, and you kind of want to know what it all entails and if it's worth a purchase. So we'll be looking at that kind of stuff. And one thing about doing it this way rather than looking at developer diaries or looking at those videos that some YouTubers do before the expansion and patch are actually released, is that this way we can actually see them in the game. So it's pretty nice, and we'll take a look at them as we go through, and I'll kind of put my thoughts on them as well. Put out my thoughts on there. Obviously I don't have a ton of experience with the patch and DLC. This is all I played here, about 14 years with it. So this is my little empire that I've been playing with here. So yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with it, but I'll kind of give my my opinions based on how I think it's going to affect the gameplay. One reason I really like doing these patch overviews though, and I haven't done one in a long time, so I kind of miss doing them, is because we get this really good kind of discussion in the comments about what you guys think about the different changes and how you think that's going to affect the gameplay and stuff, and I enjoy doing that. So before we jump into this and start discussing the Ancient Relics Story Pack, that's going to be the first thing I wanted to touch on. I would like to mention that if you are considering buying Ancient Relics, or maybe you're not sure and after this video you decide you want to buy it and you'd like to help the channel out, I do have an affiliate link down in the description of the video. So if you use that link to purchase the story pack or anything else in the Paradox store, then our channel will get a little percentage of the revenue that's earned there, any of the money that you spend. So it helps us out a little bit, and we appreciate it. Of course, the first feature of the story pack is the namesake, the relics. So I don't have any relics yet, obviously, because we just started here. However, you can see the relics. I want to say they're right here in Traditions and Relics named. You just click over here, and then this is where all your found relics would be. You have different slots that you can put them into, and they can give you different active and passive abilities. There's some that have been added for past expansions, so if you have those expansions, then you'll get those as well, such as like the throne for the Marauders. What are they? I think they're called Marauders. The Horde guys. The Con Throne, I think that's what it's called. So yeah, that's one from a previous expansion. There's a couple other relics that are added with expansions if you have them, and then this expansion here also adds in several relics too. So it's a pretty cool little feature. I'm really interested to check it out. I think it'll give a little bit of customization to your empire. And one of the interesting things is that once you get them, nobody can take them from you with the exception of one of them. There's one that like puts your points up really high. I don't remember what it's called, but it's a pretty important one to have. I think the abilities are pretty powerful. They didn't really mention in the developer diary what it does, but it sounds pretty good. But you can even declare war to get that item because supposedly it's just that powerful and that good to have. So you can declare war to get it. But with the exception of that one, you can't take any of the relics from anybody else, and they can't take relics from you. So pretty interesting little feature. It's a bummer I can't really show that one because you'd have to play for a bit longer. But you may already notice the next feature I want to talk about, and that's the minor artifacts. So the minor artifacts, you'll find these. You'll notice I have one of them, and I found this while just doing a regular anomaly. That's typically how you find them. You'll find them on another feature that we're about to look at here in a minute. But these minor artifacts are then used to purchase different things. So you can sell them to private collectors just for a bit of energy and get 500 energy for that. See that there's 3 options that we don't know yet because we need to get a particular technology here, arcane deciphering. So we can't see those yet. There's the Celebrate Diversity, and this will increase the Xenophile Ethics Attraction by plus 50%, as well as give us a bit of unity. And then this one's done on the planets, so you do that with a planet decision. and I guess we could take a look at it because, yeah, you can't really see what it does here. But yeah, that's the other option. And then, of course, as I said, we can't really see those ones. But let's go and take a look at that decision. I think it's down here towards, here we go, send artifacts to the museum exhibits. So this will increase your cultural workers' output by plus 20%. So obviously it might be best used in a planet that has culture workers, has plenty of them. The more of them you have, the more benefits you'll get from that. So the next feature I wanted to talk about, and that I alluded to earlier, is the archaeology feature. So archaeology is sort of like the anomalies, except for a little bit more in depth. And we actually have a couple of them here that I found, and I waited to do them so that we could check them out here in this video. But they're multi-stage investigations of like alien sites, and you get rewards every time you finish a stage. But yeah, you got to find them, then excavate them, and you get some good stuff. There's also some scientist traits kind of themed around archaeology as well. I haven't seen any of those on my current scientist, so I wouldn't be able to show you what they look like. But here's the first one that I found. I think this is probably like, I think this is replaces the first initial anomaly you found, because I noticed I didn't find that initial anomaly that you usually do, and typically in like the first system that you scan. I didn't find that. Instead, I found this one. So I think that's what this one is. You notice it has a really easy difficulty, not too challenging to do. And you'll see that here's the site summary that you can read. And here's the first chapter, nothing to report. It's only one chapter. I think they can be up to 6 chapters, but we're gonna go ahead and do it. Got my scientists already set up here, and we're gonna go ahead and excavate the site and see what it says. And we'll kind of let this play, and we'll ignore pretty much everything that the game has to tell us, because we're really just trying to get that dig site done. And then we'll send our scientists over here to complete this dig site. But overall, I think this feature is really, really cool. I can't wait to see the different things that they do with it. We'll leave that as well, because we're going to take a look at traditions here in a minute. So while we're completing this, you'll notice that this is ticking down. There's a breakthrough chance here, and this reflects the chance of your scientist making a breakthrough during the excavation of the current site. And it has different roll outcomes. Kind of reminds me of the EU4 sieges. In fact, they might have even used that as an example in the developer diary. And it seems that the results of the roll is added with skill bonus and clues, and then subtracted by difficulty. And that's how you get the chances of getting these different outcomes to get the clues and finishing the chapter. So let that roll, and then you'll see once we finish that, then we get the excavation logs here. So you can see on our first roll we got 11, and 6 to 10 gives you 1, and 11 to 13 on your roll gives you 2 clues. And we're getting these bonuses here for the clues that we already have. Apparently, I don't know if those actually give you a bonus here, but the difficulties thing making it the most easiest. Of course, we got a skill bonus here because he's a level 3 scientist. And so we got 1 clue here, 2 here, and 1 here. We'll go ahead and let that guy research that. And so we have a 30% breakthrough, and that's going to continue to increase as we go. So you really don't know how long it's going to take you, since it is percentage based. Once again, kind of like the EU4 sieges. So it could end up taking you a while, especially one of the really challenging ones. All right, so it looks like we have completed it. Our archaeology site is pending here, and so chapter 1, you can read this here, and then it'll allow you to keep digging, and of course then you get the minor artifacts as well that you can make use of. So then we'll start the next chapter, and you'll see you can check on each chapter what you accomplished, what you found. So I kind of like that. That's interesting. We'll just ignore. Once again, we're just going to ignore all this kind of stuff up here. So let's go and talk about some of the other features while this goes, since it's going to take a while to complete it. And we have another one I'd like to complete in this as well. So the next feature that I want to discuss is the 2 new precursors that have been added. If you guys know, as you guys know from playing the game, I'm sure there's different precursor civilizations, and I don't care about all this. And you get a unique one each time you play. Well, not each time, because I think there's, I don't remember how many there are, starting 3 to 5, something like that. I don't know exactly how many there are. There's a few of them though. They added 2 new ones though, and that should add a little bit more flavor, especially for those of you guys who play Stellaris. I'm sure you're sick of seeing the same precursor events. So that'll be interesting checking those 2 out. One of them is a peaceful plantoid hive mind, while the other one is a powerful psychic species that was the first to reach the mysterious alternate dimension known as the Shroud. So we did complete the next event. So you can see here we've got 3 minor artifacts from that. I'll go ahead and start working on the next one. So I was thinking that was just one chapter, but yeah, it seems to be more chapters. I don't know if you can see exactly how many chapters there are from here. So the next new feature in the Ancient Relics Story Pack is the Relic Worlds. This is a new world type that you can discover. It's the dead civilizations that had dwelt there, and they have a treasure trove of arcane technology, which you can then excavate with these archaeological sites. So one of the precursors, it's like the first league, I believe, when you found their homeworld, which is the end of their kind of path. When you found the homeworld, it was a big city world, and it was some people would say overpowered. It's probably maybe the best of the precursor event chains because of just how powerful it was. And now that's changed, so you no longer find that city world. Instead, you find a relic world, and then it can eventually turn into a city world once you complete the relic, the archaeological dig site. So that's one kind of a new addition there. Then the last one is that it does have 9 new Steam achievements. So all those features, the relics, this archaeological dig site mechanic, the new precursors, the relic worlds, and the minor artifacts, which we could actually now make use of because we do have some if we wanted to make a little bit of money or whatever, which I say sure, why not. We don't really need to do the Unity, although Unity's pretty dang good here in the early game. That's worth quite a bit. So yeah, then we'll go ahead and do Celebrate Diversity, though that is going to have more of our pops going Xenophile. Ancient Relics Story Pack is $9.99 in US dollars. So it's about comparable with the story packs, previous story packs. And so I'm not going to go over like value and whether these features here are worth that value, because really value is subjective. It's all about how you value $10. We all look at it kind of different. But yeah, I did want to show you guys those features. That's exactly what it is. That's all that's in here. So whether you think that's worth $10 or not, personally, from what I've seen so far, they're pretty cool little features. I really like the dig sites. I don't know if I would pay $10 for that, honestly. I would probably wait, but I'm a little bit more conservative with my money. I'm cheap, so I would probably wait until it went on sale. 50% sale would be best, like $5, but I feel like it's worth more than $5. I think I probably wouldn't want to pay more than like $7-8. I know it's only a couple dollar difference, but yeah, I feel like if you got $10 to spend and you want some new stuff for your game, for Stellaris, then yeah, I think it's worth it. Let's go ahead and start taking a look at the 2.3 Wolfe features. These are all coming with the free patch, so you don't need to purchase anything. They'll be in your game as soon as you update it. And the first one is the relic rework that we already talked about. So the relics, this is not a feature of the expansion. Just getting those new relics, excuse me. There's a lot of relics that come in the expansion. So you won't have very many relics if you don't buy the expansion. There's only a few of them that come with previous ones, but those were added. This is a base game feature, so you'll have at least a few relics if you have some in the previous expansions. So that's coming with the 2.3 Wolfe patch. The next is sectors. Sectors have been completely redesigned. I'd really like to show you guys this because I'm not a big fan of sectors. Personally, I actually hate them, and the main reason why I hate them has actually been fixed in this patch. So it's mostly laid out differently, but you'll notice a few different things. But yeah, we have our sector settings here on what we want them to focus on, of course, as expected that you have that, and we can transfer resources to them, all things you could do before. But one of the differences here is that there's a shared stockpile now that all sectors share. So if one sector is short, they can borrow from the shared stockpile, and you can add, just straight up add energy and mineral resources into this if you wanted to, and then you can also do a monthly one. So if you wanted to, dedicate, one of your energies to building up the shared stockpile, then you can do that as well. So once again, if you use these kind of features to let your sectors build on their own, then you got some new things to play with here. This is not really all that important to me because I don't use that. But one thing I really like, first of all, you can kind of design your own sectors by picking the sector capital. So I don't think I'll be able to do that because we're not big enough. So yeah, we won't be able to look at that, but you can set your sector capital, and then once you have set the sector capital, the sector is built with all of the systems that are within 4 like hyper jumps away from that sector capital. So like if we were to say set the sector capital up here, then 1, 2, 3, 4, this one would be in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, then that one would be in there. So it's got to be a planet. That's you set the sector capital on the planet. And so it does let you kind of build out your own sectors a little bit. We could do that in that previous sector system, but this one's all right. It's a good compromise between the way Paradox had kind of wanted to do it, where they had the set sectors where they kind of built them, and the one where we got to build them our own. They kind of flip-flopped how they wanted to do it, and I think this one's kind of a good compromise, where you kind of have some control over it, but it's not as free as that one system was a while back. So we now have a button for automation on or off for every planet. And you could turn automation on for a planet that's not in a sector if you want to let the AI manage your planets for you. I personally prefer to micromanage it. Some people don't want to manage it. We can have it in sectors and still can micromanage it by turning the automation off. The next new feature is the planet designations. Now, technically planet designations aren't a new feature. You had these before. This was the little designations that you have up here. So this is a somewhat newly established colony, so it still has the colony designation, which gives us pop speed and happiness, while if you look at my empire capital, it gives us those bonuses. So prior to this, these were automatically set based on largely based off of the districts and the buildings, pretty much. Whatever you built in, constructed for your buildings and how you had the district set up, that would control what the designator one was. And it was kind of irritating. I expressed this in my last Stellaris Let's Play. I found it frustrating because you would end up maxing out certain districts, and then if you build any, let's say I want this to be a farming district, and let's say I had already built it all out. Obviously this would be a terrible planet to be a farming planet, because we don't have enough farming districts, but let's just say it had more and we wanted this to be a farming planet, and then I filled them all out, but I still have more room to build districts, but I'm at the point where if I build any other districts, then I'll lose the modifier. And then it's just like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? Or with some of the ones that were based on the buildings, you had to build a bunch of those buildings to be able to get the bonus, and sometimes it was impractical, how many buildings you had to get of that type to get the bonus. Now you don't need to worry about that. You can just change it yourself. So the way you do it here is you just click on the colony designation. We could actually change this now and start getting different bonuses. Even though it's still a colony, we can go ahead and start changing it right away. So we have access to all of the different designations. I've actually seen a couple designations here that I hadn't even seen before because I hadn't built my planets that way. So yeah, I really like this. So you can see we get all the bonuses that we would have got before, and you can get them right from the get-go. And it's not based off of how your planet's built out. I'm really glad they let us have that. It's one of my favorite features or changes of the 2.3 patch. So Megastructures have seen some major changes as well. We'll kind of talk about these at another point in the video as well. But let's start with talking about the habitats. So previously, to build habitats, you had to have the Voidborn perk. And so that made that perk ridiculously powerful. Like, you had to have it. It was almost a must-have. If you wanted to build habitats, you couldn't do it without it. And you didn't have to have habitats, of course, but they're pretty useful to have. So Paradox didn't like that they had this perk that most people went for. So they went ahead and changed it. And the way they did that is you can build the habitats without the perk, and the base habitability, I always have trouble with that word, is now 80% rather than, I think it was 100% before. It's no longer 100%, it's now 80%. And if you want to get it up to 100%, then you do have to take, and I guess we can go and use this here, take a look at it. And if you want to get it up to 100%, then you do have to get the Voidborn perk. If I can find that here we go. You see that it does increase the habitability by plus 20%. So that's how you get up to 100% now. And in addition to that, it also increases the space of your habitats. You'll get 2 additional districts. So essentially now it just makes habitats better. That's what Voidborn does now. Another interesting change with the habitats is that the celestial body that they're over, it'll have different effects on the habitat. So now you have different reasons to build them other places, and it kind of gives a little bit of flavor to your habitats, a little bit of difference to them, maybe even creates a little strategy on where's the best place to build them for whatever bonus you may be looking for. Ring worlds have also changed a bit. They now have their own specialty districts, so that's interesting. Just making them all feel different. Whether it's a habitat or ring world, they're going to feel different than your planets, with their own districts and all that kind of good stuff. Obviously, habitats already had their own districts, but more flavor for those. So that's fun. I like that. One of the biggest changes for the 2.3 patch is that it is now 64-bit application. So if you're running on a 32-bit hardware, then you're not gonna be able to play Stellaris on the 2.3 patch. You'd have to roll back the patch. Now, my understanding, not many people play on 32-bit anymore, or have 32-bit hardware, so that's the reason why they felt comfortable changing that up. So that's one of the major changes, although how much it'll affect things seems kind of unclear. Paradox says it doesn't seem that the game is actually any faster. It does let them do a few different things, but I guess it doesn't make it much faster overall in their test between the 64-bit and the 32-bit. So it really only affects people that have 32-bit hardware, because they're not gonna be able to play the new patch. So that's something to consider, guys, if you are on an older machine. So let's move along back to Precursors. They no longer spawn in pre-selected parts of the galaxy. Now it's randomized. We now have a new menu option. If you know the little game start rules that you have, you can now disable the caravaneer fleets if you don't want to see them roaming around the galaxy. Some people find them annoying, apparently, so they have removed that. And then they also have a randomize button when naming planets, which I did find pretty useful here when I was naming my planets. I actually used that. You can just click this randomize button, and then you don't have to try and come up with a name for your planets. And if you're wondering, yes, I am using the Roman naming system or name list that Paradox added a few patches ago. Next change on the list is that rogue servitors can now build a variant of leisure districts on habitats to entertain their biotrophies in space. So that's interesting. So let's move along to the balance changes. These changes are not really considered features, just kind of change up the balance of the game. So Thrall worlds can now build energy grids and mineral purification plants. Terraform worlds no longer rerolls districts, blockers, and unique deposits. So when you terraformed a world previously, it would completely change up all the little factors on your planet. The districts here would be different. All the blockers would be different as well. The unique planetary features were different. So those will no longer change when you terraform it, which is good. I like that because you'd have a planet maybe perhaps you really, really liked some of the stuff, and the whole reason why you're terraforming it is because you want to colonize this really, really good planet, but you're going to have a low habitability if you do, and then you terraform it, and then you lose all those benefits that you really, really liked about it. So I like that. That's a pretty good change. Next, the Technocracy Civic now requires Fanatic Materialist ethics. So you now have to have the ethic if you do want to take that Civic in the beginning of the game, or when you get that one extra Civic later on. They have rebalanced the Worm in Waiting to make it a more of a real threat. So that's part of the Horizon Signal event chain. Back to talking about habitats, they can now build a lot of different buildings that they couldn't build before, including the food processing buildings, the research labs, commercial zones, and the holo theaters. So they have a little bit more options for their building construction. Another thing we already kind of talked about with habitats is that what celestial body you build them over will affect the actual habitat and some of the bonuses it has. And here's just one example of those. If you build them over a rare deposit, they now gain that associated deposit. So pretty cool. Like if there's a planet that maybe has a really low habitability, for instance, I've got a 0% habitability here on this alpine world, and that's largely because of some of the modifiers that are here are not good, on top of it not being a planet that my species would like. Let's say it had some really good rare bonuses here that I wanted to rare deposits I want to take advantage of. Now I can build a habitat over it and get those. So yeah, pretty good change. The Mastery of Nature perk can now be picked in the first slot if you wanted. So that was available as soon as I had picked a perk here. So I think that had been locked before. You had a requirement before you could get it. But that's no longer the case. So you can get that here in your first perk slot. So habitability has gotten a bit more important because some people, I think some people would say that it wasn't as big of a factor as it should be, where you could exist on a planet with lower habitability, and it's still obviously not efficient, but apparently Paradox felt that it was too easy. So they have changed it up where now low habitability will reduce pop growth and job output per every 0.5% of missing habitability, and that's from 100%. So that'll affect you on any planet that's not 100% essentially. So you'll have lower job output and lower pop growth on those planets. So you will need to consider habitability a little bit more if you want to play efficiently. So Gaia worlds are going to be a little bit easier to terraform to. They have had the amount of days it takes to terraform to a Gaia world has been reduced, as well as the cost. And they've been reduced substantially, guys. I want to say it's like 50% for the amount of time it takes. And then the cost has been reduced by about 25%. So pretty big deal there. It's going to be a lot easier to terraform to Gaia worlds, as well as so faster and cheaper. The matter decompressor site alloy cost has been increased from 3,000 to 5,000 to be consistent with other sites. So next we have Architectural Renaissance Unity Ambition, which we can't check at this moment here, but it'll now increase the megastructure build capacity by 1. The Dyson Sphere and the matter decompressor have had their energy and mineral output increased. I think it's been increased by quite a bit, so that's nice. Continuing talking about megastructures, they have consolidated the placement rules for them, so they're no longer inconsistent. So it'll be easier to know where you can place those. The interstellar assembly now costs energy and upkeep instead of the consumer goods that it previously cost. And restoration alloy cost has been reduced from 20,000 to 15,000. Mining drone home base now also drops a strange device. I wonder if that's a relic. I don't actually know. But yeah, curious. The Gestalt races, which are the hive mind and machine intelligence species, that start with that, now also benefit from increasing the flow of dark matter from the dimensional portal. Rogue servitors start with another Nexus district, so they have buffed both of those. So the Galactic Wonders Ascension perk, which was another one that was pretty dang powerful here. You'll notice that it is now changed here. Rather than unlocking the ability to build those 3, you now need to research them. So it only unlocks the ability to get the research for those. So you'll have to research a tech for those. In addition, that megastructures have been changed in the fact that not all of them require a perk now. You can get several of them through the research, rare research techs. The life-seeded civic has been changed. That's the civic that starts you out on a Gaia world. So it was pretty powerful because in addition to starting you out on a Gaia world, I think in the code or something, it's states that you're going to have 2 planets next to you that are of your type. So for instance, I'm on a Savannah world, so I have the planet we start on, so I have 2 of them right next to me, and that applied to the life-seeded as well, so you'd have 2 Gaia worlds right next to you. So it was pretty powerful. They have changed that. You no longer will have the 2 Gaia worlds next to you. Instead, they just have random. It's just going to be a random location for you, so essentially your people aren't going to like it no matter what, because when you have that life-seeded, your guys only really like the Gaia worlds. So that's something to consider. Life-seeded is no longer as good as it used to be. So colony ships have been changed as well. Machine empires, when they build them, they only require alloys, but that wasn't the case for synth empires. When that has been changed, they now only need alloys to build the colony ships. And then the last balance item on here, we can actually see here, because I happen to have, this just kind of happened here, happen to have these guys. This is for the Inward Perfection Civic, so they can no longer form research agreements or commercial packs. You'll notice that on there, that they are restricted on both of those. So they're even more restricted than they were before, because remember, they're not. That makes sense. They shouldn't be able to do either one of those, since that's against their focus. So yeah, they can't do either of those. So you do need to consider that if you're going to be playing with the Inward Perfection Civic. So that's it for balance. Now, there's also a ton of improvements to the AI, some performance improvements as well, several changes to the UI as expected with some of these different adjustments they've made. They had to make some changes to the UI. There's been some changes with the job priorities as well. So like which jobs will be picked based on the traits of your species. Certain traits no longer affect certain jobs, so that's a little adjustment that was made. And then of course there's also been a bunch of bug fixes as expected from any patch. And that is it, guys. Those are the changes and new additions for the 2.3 Wolfe patch, as well as the Ancient Relics expansion pack. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to jumping into this. I'm enjoying my little playthrough here. That luckily I didn't save this here. I'll just load up the past save because we already dicked it all up. Efficiency is lost. We've gone all this time, but yeah, I didn't continue this here. I guess I was gonna let these guys finish here. Oh, there we go. We can actually see it because we just fully excavated it, and you can see that there's up to 6 chapters here. This one's only had 3, and did we fail in it? Not entirely sure here. But unfortunately, it says unfortunate, but we did get engineering research for it. But yeah, then we could move on to the next one if we so desired, which is right over here. I'm going to let him work on that now. And I don't know how many chapters those are. But yeah, I like that you can always click on them. They're always going to be there, and you can just kind of click through them, see exactly what you got through or got from each chapter. And this is just the beginning one, I think. I think everybody will get this. I'm not entirely sure because I haven't read it, because obviously I'm doing it here on camera. But, oh, we've met pigs. Okay, so, anyways, what I was saying is that I think that there's going to be some pretty interesting ones here. This one's going to be stupidly challenging. Look at this. Breakthrough chance starts at negative 50% because of the difficulty. So, yeah, as I said, some of these are probably going to take a really, really long time to complete some of the more challenging ones. So you're going to need to commit scientists to it for a long time. You're probably going to want to get like your scientists, upgraded before you do some of those more challenging ones, because they are going to take so long. But yeah, I really like them. They add a lot more flavor to it, I feel. And just based on what I saw in the developer diaries, it does look like there's going to be some pretty interesting ones. So I'm kind of digging that, guys. So that's probably the biggest thing from the expansion, of course. And we're just meeting all kinds of people right now. So I would say that it's definitely something that I would suggest picking up. I don't know if you want to pay $10. Once again, that's value is subjective. But even if you're not willing to pay the $10, wait till it goes on sale, and definitely get this one because it's pretty cool. I like it. I like the archaeological digs and the relics and all that kind of good stuff. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it, found it helpful. Once again, if you are going to buy that Ancient Relics Story Pack and you want to help the channel out, then use that affiliate link to purchase it, and we'll get a little percentage of that revenue. So if you did enjoy the video, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our content, hit that notification bell, and then leave a comment. I do read and reply to all comments. I'd love to discuss the new expansion and the changes brought in the patch. I keep calling it an expansion, the DLC, whatever you want to call it, the story pack. But yeah, I'd love to discuss the changes and new additions that have been brought by the story pack and the 2.3 patch. What do you guys think about them? Do you think the story pack is good? Are you excited about it? Do you think it's worth the purchasing price? Have you bought it? What are you thinking about it? Have you played on the new patch yet? Are you liking it? Because yeah, by the time this comes out, it will have released, because I'm a little bit late on the video from when I wanted to have it out. But yeah, it should be out at this point, so if you guys are playing it already, I'd love to hear your opinion of it and what you're thinking about it, and maybe some of the ramifications of it. Is there anything broken It seems like every patch seems to have some stuff that got broke. So I'd love to hear that as well from my own playthroughs, trying to avoid things or maybe some exploits you know about. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys. I just enjoy talking to you in the comments. It's one of my favorite parts of this YouTube thing. If you're looking for more Paradox related content, then also check out our front page. We've got a ton of series. We play all sorts of games, including non-strategy games. But if you're looking for Paradox games, I do play. Obviously I played this. Play CK2, a little bit of E4, not much of that, but I did a series last year, and then I play a ton of Hearts of Iron 4 if you're into that game. So you should be able to find something that you're into if you do like other Paradox games. We also did an Imperator Rome one as well. But again, I think I don't know how many people are looking for Let's Plays of that at this point. But that's going to be it for this one. Hope to see you on another video, and thanks for watching.